Hello and welcome to another episode of Death by Bunjie, coming to you in early January 2021 from the all-new trophy room. How about that? This is the trophy room in our new house. And with me is Bunjie, my crossbow. You're very familiar with Bunjie. Bunjie is not the subject of this video. Instead, the subject of this video are some additional thoughts that I have on the new Excalibur Twinstrike. Now, those of you following Death by Bunjie know that I've hunted with this crossbow here for 11 seasons now. I've got over a decade of experience at killing deer with this crossbow, and I love it to death. However, I do want to enter the modern era and get a more up-to-date, more modern crossbow. I probably shouldn't say that too loud in front of Bunjie. In all seriousness, this is the year where I'm starting to look at an upgrade. The concept of upgrading isn't new to Death by Bunjie. If you read my book, The Death by Bunjie Crossbows Story, the book sort of ends with me talking about the possibility of upgrading that crossbow, about how I was thinking about it. More than a year ago, I was thinking about the possibility of an upgrade. This book chronicles an entire 10-year period of me hunting with that same crossbow. It's a good read if you haven't read it already. Check it out on Amazon.com. A good example of a more modern crossbow is Bunjie Jr. Look at this crossbow. Now, this is one that you saw in our previous hunting season. This crossbow belongs to my daughter, Genevieve. Bunjie Jr. is her 355 micro suppressor from Excalibur. It's a pretty nice crossbow. Shoots around 350 feet per second. She's shooting a 150 grain broadhead on the standard 16.5 inch ProFlight arrows. Really neat crossbow. I actually had the opportunity to use this year to great success. In fact, it was a really big eye-opener for me. So it really shouldn't be too much of a surprise to anybody that I'm looking at new crossbows. I've talked about that. One of the new crossbows on the market, I'm not particularly personally interested in this crossbow for adding it to the Bunjie arsenal or anything like that, but the Excalibur Twinstrike was released this week. That's an interesting crossbow. I did 2 live streams on that crossbow talking about it, so I've already done over 2 hours of video, I think, talking about that topic. It was a big topic this past week, talking about it on Facebook, talking about it on YouTube, and I cannot tell you how excited I was to talk to you, friends of Bunjie, all week long, getting the posts, getting the emails, getting the shared information from you this past week about that new crossbow. I have one question in particular about this new crossbow that I need answers to, and I want to hear from you about your opinions on this topic. The Excalibur Twinstrike advertises a draw weight of 358 pounds. This crossbow shoots 360 feet per second and has 2 sets of limbs. Now I see 358 pounds and I start thinking, whoa, why has this thing got such an immense, incredible draw weight? The reason a 358 pound draw weight really kind of surprises me a little bit, and the reason I think it's worth talking about in this video is because my old crossbow, Bunjie here, is a 175 pound draw weight. That was pretty standard back in the day over 10 years ago when this crossbow was made. A more modern crossbow like Bunjie Jr. here has a 285 pound draw weight. That's over 100 pounds more than the old crossbows 10 years ago. The new Twinstrike from Excalibur advertises a 358 pound draw weight. That is an incredible amount of weight to be stressed on those limbs. Now, I still don't know for sure, and perhaps you can weigh in on this, and I'm sure we're going to find out over a period of time, but does that 358 pounds refer to one set of limbs? So in other words, it's 358 pound draw weight for each set. Or is it 358 pounds total, both sets of limbs added together? Now, it doesn't make any sense to me for it to be both sets of limbs, because both sets of limbs are actually cocked independent of one another. In other words, you have to cock the first set, then cock the second set. You don't cock them both at the same time. Now, if they're referring to 358 pounds total, that suggests to me that it's, I guess, 179 pounds per set of limbs. In other words, the top set of limbs, 179 pound draw weight, bottom set of limbs, 179 pound draw weight. My question there is, if they have a set of limbs that on this crossbow is 179 pound draw weight and can shoot 360 feet per second, then why don't they just make a crossbow with one set of limbs that shoots 360 feet per second with a 179 pound draw weight? Then I could cock that crossbow by myself. I could cock that crossbow without a cocking device. I find that to be one of the reasons that I haven't upgraded my crossbow over the years. One of the reasons I have stuck with Bunjie this long is the ease of use. The mere fact that I can cock that with my rope cocking device in seconds flat. It doesn't take me a while. I don't have to fumble around in my bag, get out an external cocking device, cock the crossbow, then put that away and be ready to hunt. If you can make basically an upgraded Bunjie that shoots 360 feet per second, or maybe even faster with a longer power stroke, please do. Now, on the other hand, if 358 pound draw weight refers to both sets of limbs altogether, then my question is a little bit different. If you can get two sets of limbs on one crossbow, and you can have a draw weight of 358 pounds, can't you try to impart all of that energy onto one arrow instead of two? Think about what that might do. With the same power stroke as the Bulldog 440, you might achieve 460, 480 feet per second, perhaps as far as 500 feet per second. This might be the answer to whether or not a recurve will ever reach 500 feet per second. Pretty interesting, too, is the fact that I think that this is a slightly different limb design, a slightly different form of limbs that Excalibur is introducing. If you look at their standard limbs we're familiar with on Excalibur crossbows, they aren't straight like they are in the Twinstrike. If you look at these limbs, they sort of flare out. They get a little wider here to add a little strength, I guess, and then they come back in and they've got the tips here. Sometimes they have armor tips, sometimes they do not. This is the more modern style of crossbow from Excalibur, the micro-sized limbs. The Twinstrike is a micro-sized limb crossbow, 25 inches wide, and it drops down to about 21 and a half when it is cocked. That's the micro platform. That is the size of the micro crossbow. So the Twinstrike's in that realm. The limbs obviously are different. Instead of having the flare design that you see on this crossbow, they are a straight design. Now that may be just to accommodate the fact that it's got two sets of limbs. That might be why it looks that way. On the other hand, if this is a different limb design from Excalibur, it does bring up some interesting possibilities. If among the possibilities with this new style of limb, there's the possibility of having an even faster version of this classic crossbow, then I'm all for it. Not really interested in the two sets of limbs. You know, I like to shoot a crossbow, not a crosses bow.
Oh,
Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time. All hail Bunjie.